get so caught up in
Hey there, Angela Mosley here. Welcome to your stretch and mobility routine or your routine workout. I have a couple different props here, but you don't need them. They're just here for suggestion. If you do have a couch or a chair nearby, we will use that for one of our exercises or poses later today. I have my foam roller and my yoga block for some support and some poses. I do have a long resistance band for a specific exercise today. You can also use a dowel or a broomstick. And then I have two pillows for support, for some head support, and other ideas for support if you might need it. Just remember that if you are newly postpartum, to be very mindful of your body in today's stretching, especially in certain poses. Don't go past what you know your body is capable. If at any time it feels uncomfortable or a pose just does not feel good, please back off. Very important that we focus on our breath here. So our breath is going to play a huge role in a lot of our poses today, because when we focus on our breath, that helps to let our body go. It helps to naturally relax the body, and it also helps to lengthen the muscles. So it's very important that we pay attention to our breath throughout today's entire workout. And of course, I'll continue to cue you throughout. All right. So our very first exercise is going to be a side lying breathing. So I am going to grab my pillow and I'm going to use my yoga block just simply in between my knees just for support. Again, it's not needed. You do what feels best in your body. This is what feels best in mine. So we're going to come into a side lying position and I'm going to rest my head on the pillow. I'm going to have my other arm out. I'm going to hover my abs up off the ground and my knees are going to come into about a 90-degree angle. I want to make sure that I'm not spilling into an anterior pelvic tilt and I'm not tucking in the back. All right. So we're going to think about inhaling through the nose. You can suction the tongue to the roof of the mouth to really get that breath in. And as we inhale, I want you to think about expanding laterally into those ribs and down into the back and down into the pelvic floor. So because we're holding up our abs from the bottom up, then most of the breath is going to come on that top side. All right. So inhale through the nose. And then when you exhale, you're going to exhale nice and gently. Let all of that breath come all the way out. We're not engaging the pelvic floor. We're not engaging the core. We're just letting that breath come all the way out. And then we're going to take our next inhale. I want you to vision your breath expanding laterally, like I mentioned, and then into the back of the rib cage, and then into the lower back, and then down into the pelvic bowl. As we think about our breath and as we inhale, we want to think about expanding the breath, lengthening our internal or our insides all the way through. Give me one more good breath. Inhale. Exhale. Let all of that breath come all the way out. Fantastic job. We're actually going to stay in this position and I'm just going to move the yoga block. I'm going to press my knee gently into the yoga block and we're going to come into what's called an open book. So I'm going to reach this hand out and then I'm going to open up through. Surprisingly, I'm somewhat hitting my wall, but not as I normally would. So we want to rotate through our thoracic spine and then we reach out again. So I'm reaching over my hand and then I'm sliding it back without twisting through my lower back. I'm simply working through the thoracic spine, the shoulders, as well as the chest. So I like to inhale here as I reach, opening up through the back and the shoulders, and then exhale as I open. Engaging slight engagement of the core here to help keep the pelvis nice and still. Let's do one more inhale here. Exhale. Fantastic job. Go ahead, bring it back to the front. We're going to go ahead and switch right into that other side. So we're going to go right into that breathing right on the other side. So same thing. You want to suction the tongue to the roof of your mouth. And then exhale gently. Let all of the breath come all the way out. Again, your lower abdominals are hovering up off the ground, which is going to force the breath into your rib cage and down into the back. Let all of the breath come all the way out. Let's do one more good one. Inhale through the nose. And exhale all the way out. Fantastic job. I'm gonna set that yoga block off to the side. We're gonna come into, oh no, we're not. I'm sorry. Mommy brain. All right, we're gonna come into that open book. So just like we did before, I'm gonna place my top knee on top. I'm gonna reach forward and then I'm gonna open up. So reach, reach, reach. So it's like you're rotating over that other shoulder. The bottom arm is not moving. It's coming all from the top. Only go as far out as it feels good to you. So if going right here is where you're at, that's perfectly fine. Okay, you don't have to go as far. I've been working on this for quite some time now. Most important thing is that we're not rotating through the lower back and that lumbar spine. That's why we're gently pressing that top knee into the yoga block so we can really emphasize movement from the thoracic spine. Fantastic job. All right, now you can get rid of that yoga block and that pillow. We're gonna come into a hands and knees position. We're gonna come into a cat-cow. So I want you to think pressing the fingertips into the mat. We're gonna inhale up, and as I inhale up, I want you to think about slightly rotating the hands outwards so that you're getting an opening in the chest and those shoulders. So inhale, and then exhale, press the fingertips into the floor to push the body away. And I want you to think if there's a sticky spot in your back, I want you to try to extend there. So moving at your own pace, inhale. So think about getting your breath into your shoulders and then exhale. Fantastic job. You want to think about pushing the floor away and reaching through the serratus. Give me one more good one. And exhale around. Awesome job. All right, we're going to take this hand and we're going to place it behind our head. You can pop the toes and you can sit on your heels if that feels better. I want you to think about using this opposite hand to push the floor away. So almost like a clamshell, but in our upper body. We're going to drop down and then push away as we open up. So again, inhale as we rotate over that shoulder, and then exhale, come up. You can also use your feet up against the wall, and you can come more into that hands and knees position. So use that bottom hand to push the floor away. Again, I like to inhale down, exhale to come up. Fantastic job. Let's do one more, and then we're going to hold a thread the needle pose. All right, go ahead. Take this hand. We're going to reach up, and we're actually going to needle it through. So we're going to take that bottom hand onto the mat, and then I'm going to take this opposite hand out in front, or you can place it on your hips. That bottom hand, you're going to try and push the floor away, and I want you to think about inhaling into the side that's closest to the ceiling. And we're just going to hold this pose. This is where it's going to be really important for you to focus on your breath here, on your inhale. And the more you push that arm into the mat, the more rotation and stretch you're going to feel and get. So I'm feeling my breath coming into the back of my pelvis of the hand that's on my hip, which is a great way to just keep that connection of where your breath is going. So inhale through the nose. Exhale gently. Fantastic job. One more inhale. And exhale, bring that hand back to the face. Push the floor away. And we're going to go ahead into that other side. So we're going to place that hand behind our head. And same thing, we're going to drop down. So we're rotating over the shoulder blade. And we're going to drop down. And then we're going to push the floor away with this shoulder, almost like a clamshell, but for the shoulders. So you might start to feel, I did an upper body workout today, so I'm kind of like, oh, I'm feeling a little sensation that we're working the muscles as well as working through some mobility. So again, inhale down. I don't want your chest dropping in this. We're really moving from this shoulder and using that serratus to push the floor away. Slow and controlled. Last one. Awesome job. All right, so same thing. We're going to bring that arm through. I'm gonna bring my head to the mat. You can either place your hand out in front or you can place it on your hip. And I want you to think about inhaling into the sides and down into that hip here. You can use this bottom hand to push the floor away even more. And then gently exhale. Again, you can choose whichever position feels better for you. I just want you to think about getting your breath into those sticky spots. One more good inhale. Exhale, bring that hand back to the face. Push the floor away. Fantastic job. All right, we're gonna go into a child's pose to a cobra. So if you have diastasis recti, I really do want you to be mindful of how far you stretch. You can do more of a mini cobra here. All right, so you're just gonna sit back, inhale, reach those fingertips out long, and then we're gonna come forward, drop down, and lift up. Nice stretch. You wanna think that your glutes are dead. So sit back, reach, 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 inhale, and then exhale, come down, and push the floor away. So just continue with that, however it feels good. I really like the position here of stretching my arms out to get a nice stretch in the shoulders and the lats, especially after a day of upper body. This also helps to reset the pelvis. Some upper body strength happening there. And bring it on back. Awesome job. All right, we're gonna come into our bench, couch, or chair, and we're actually just gonna hold the pose here. I'm gonna show you an option on the mat. So you have two options here. You can sit here and just hold and breathe, almost like you're breathing into the armpit area. You can also place your elbows onto the bench and press your elbows into the bench even more, especially if you're someone like me who has some restriction in the shoulders. This might feel really good, but also kind of like, oh wow, I'm really feeling that. And then your other option is just simply doing it on the mat. So our hips are up in the air and you're interlacing the fingers behind the head and you're just holding here. And so again, we want to focus on our inhale here. And your exhale is nice and gentle. So you hold whichever pose feels best for you. I'm going to come up onto the bench and hold here. So again, the more we can focus on expanding our breath into our ribs and allowing the diaphragm to expand the way that it should, the more likely we are to restore pelvic floor and core function. So that's why it's very important, because many people are breathing in or breathing up. So instead of allowing the diaphragm to come up, the diaphragm goes, or allowing the diaphragm to go down, the diaphragm goes up on the inhale. It's crazy what our bodies get used to doing. And so when we work on retraining it by thinking about inhaling and the diaphragm pushing down and expanding into our ribs, expanding into our back and down into our belly, we can start to restore function within the pelvic floor and the core. All right, go ahead, give me one more inhale. As you exhale, slowly undo yourself. We're gonna come down to the mat. I'm gonna show you two options. So if you are breastfeeding, I'm gonna show you an option that might be a little bit more comfortable. We're gonna come to a T position. I'm gonna drive my right leg up and I'm gonna use my right hand to push my body away. And I'm going to hold this pose and to reach my opposite hand behind me and just think about breathing into my chest wall, okay? So that's option number one. Option two is using the wall, coming to a T, and then rotating yourself on the wall, using this hand to push your body away. Again, knowing your limitation and how far you feel comfortable going. So you decide which position, and we're gonna hold. So again, thinking about that breath. Inhale, exhale. Awesome job. Go ahead, slowly bring yourself back to center, and we're gonna go into that other side. So same thing, I'm gonna lift my left leg, and I'm going to reach and focus on the chest here. Give me one more good inhale. And slowly come back to center. Use the hands to push the body away. We're gonna come into a quick neck stretch. So I'm gonna have you pull one hand behind the back, and I'm gonna have you take the opposite hand and just gently press your head down towards the opposite side. You wanna feel lengthening in your neck area here. It's just super gentle. And you can play around with it. You can look down, you can look up, or you can just hold it straight ahead. We're just gonna focus and breathe here for just a moment. Awesome job. Go ahead and shake it off. We're gonna go into that other side, so same thing. Awesome job. Go ahead and let go. We're going to go into one more movement for our upper body. We're going to grab either our band or a dowel, and we're just going to bring it out in front of us, and we're going to reach up and over and down, only going as far back as it feels good for you. Very important that your rib cage does not flare up. So again, only going to whatever spot feels best for you, and moving at your own pace. Of course, the further in you are on the band, the stickier it's going to be, or the harder it's going to be, okay? So you know your body best. That was a little too much for me, especially on my right shoulder. I have some restriction that I am working through. Awesome job. Reach up and around and over, and up and around and over. Just a couple more. And last one. Fantastic job. All right, we're gonna come now into our lower body. So we're gonna start off in a rock back position. I'm gonna have you come into a half kneeling, and we're gonna lean forward, keeping that heel of the foot on the ground, and then we're gonna sit back. So you're gonna place your hands on your knees, or you can place them on the floor. Really depends on you and what you feel most comfortable with. Our goal is to get some ankle mobility by keeping that heel nice and grounded. Let's do one more. And then we're gonna hold our psoas stretch. We're gonna bring that knee in, and you're gonna squeeze this glute, and you're just gonna come tall through that spine. You can hold here, or you can actually take the hand and reach up and over and hold and get a nice side body stretch as well. Or you can hold the foot in the back to get more into the quads as well. Whatever you do, I want you to think about breathing. I know I always go back to the breathing. Inhale, exhale. Maybe with your exhale, you think about pulling that heel in towards the bum more, or maybe you think about stretching to the side a little bit more. Awesome job. All right, we have to do the other side. So same exact thing. We're going to rock forward, and then we're going to sit back. So again, you can place your hands wherever it might feel best for you. We're moving with intention and moving with control. Good. to only go as far as you know your body is capable. And if it is painful, please back off. Last one, we're gonna hold that psoas. All right, so whatever you did on that other side, I want you to try and do the same thing on this side. You can also use stuff to place underneath your knees, as I almost lose my balance, and for support. If you find that it's a little bit sticky and you're like, oh, my knees don't feel good, you can always place that pillow underneath as well. Stay tall through that spine. Awesome job. All right, we're gonna come onto hands and knees. We're gonna place one foot out. And we're just gonna rock back. We're gonna go into some adductor rock backs. Feel a nice stretch in those adductors as you sit back. Again, this should feel really good. It should not be painful. Moving at the pace that feels best for you. The last one, and let's go ahead and switch. Other side, same exact thing. You might find that one side has less restriction than the other, and maybe you want to do a couple extra reps on the side that has more restriction. It's very common. My left side is loosey-goosey, and my right side is righty-tighty. Just how it always works. My shoulders, everything. So I'm dominant on that right side. Let's do two more. Rock back, come forward, rock back. Awesome job. I'm gonna rotate myself. We're gonna come into a low lunge. So if right here is where you feel best, or you can even come here, that's fine too. I'm gonna show you a couple of options. I'm gonna lift my knee up. I'm actually gonna drop this elbow down, and I'm gonna reach up nice and tall. Drop down and reach up. If that's too much for you, you can always think about opening up this hip to the right and then bringing it back to center. Opening up to the right and bringing it back to center, okay? So again, using whatever props feel good for you. Inhale down, exhale. I'm using this bottom leg almost like that clamshell, but for our upper body like we did in the beginning. All right, let's go ahead and switch. Other side. You can also keep this back knee down as you come into this position as well. I love this one. This one always feels so good. Let's do one more. Drop down and lift up. Awesome job. Bring yourself down to your mat. We're going to come into a 90-90. So I'm going to hinge at the hips, opening up through the back, lengthening the back, and then I'm going to switch. Okay? So only going as far down as it feels good for you. So again, you can take any of these poses and stretches that you're like, oh my goodness, that felt amazing. I want to do that again. Incorporate it into your routine. You can do it as part of your warm-up. A lot of these poses and exercises are really about moving through the range rather than holding. We did do some poses that we held, but we're really wanting to increase mobility rather than just stretching a muscle. Last one. Fantastic job. All right, now I'm gonna come back into that 90-90, but I'm gonna lean back. So now we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna work through those hips, only going as far back as it feels good for you. This feels good where I'm at right now, and I wanna think about pressing my knee into the floor. I'm gonna open up through this area here. Again, I'm gonna focus on my breath going in. So your psoas attaches typically a muscle that many might have barriers with. So if we wanna think about our breathing into the pelvic bowl here, that should help to release some of that tension that you might be experiencing. Inhale, exhale. Awesome job. Slowly come on up. We're going to go into that other side. So same exact thing. Lean back as far as it feels good for you. have to admit, I recorded this workout once and my kids were fighting because I stay at home. My kids are home. It's winter break when I'm doing this. And my youngest two were fighting. I had to record, and this is my second time recording it, but it was a blessing because I added a little bit more. Go ahead, slowly come on up. We're gonna come into a wide-legged frog pose. So I'm gonna have my knees out wide and my feet, ankles bent. And I'm gonna bring my elbows down to the mat very slowly. And you can think about tiny little rocks and shifts here. Thinking about opening up through the pelvis area and lengthening through those adductors. I like to rock rather than hold. This is one of those poses where you really got to focus on your breath. If it is too uncomfortable, please back off. You can also place some pillows underneath your knees here for more support. Let's do one more. Inhale, sit back, and slowly bring those hands up. Bring the knees in. I'm going to rotate to the side. We're going to come into a pigeon pose. So I'm going to bring my knee out in front, and I'm just going to sit back. And you can hold up here, which is going to stretch more of that psoas on that opposite side, or you can come down, which is going to stretch more of the hips on the side that's in the front. And that's where I want to go. We're just going to do a couple breaths here. So inhale through the nose, expanding the breath down into the pelvic bowl, and exhale out through the mouth nice and gently. Give me one more good inhale. Exhale, bring the hands up. We're just going to switch into that other side. So same exact thing. Again, using the props as you need them. Give me one more good inhale. And exhale. Slowly come on up. We're going to finish with a child's pose breathing. So this is where I like to use several different props. I'm going to use my yoga block, and I'm going to use my foam roller and my pillow. Now you don't need all of this stuff. This is just what feels good for my body. So you can put the pillow underneath your abdomen, or you can put it underneath your heels here. This is going to help shut off the abdomen, and so that I could get more expansion in my back. I'm going to use the yoga block to support my head, and then I'm going to use the foam roller to reach my arms out so I can get more expansion in my rib cage angle. Otherwise, you can simply hold a child's pose with your arms out straight without these props. All right, we're going to use a couple breaths here and stay here for just a moment. So with each inhale, I want to think about reaching through my pinkies, and I want to think about my breath going into my rib cage, into the back, down into my back, and down into the pelvic floor. So you want a nice even spread, but by compressing the abdomen, this is going to force the breath into our back and getting more of that lateral expansion as we're reaching out. Then exhale the breath all the way out. You can also play around with the exhale. With the exhale, you might feel more comfortable reaching through and then taking a good inhale. Let's do 2 more breaths together. Inhale through your nose. I like to do it for a 4 count. Exhale all the way out. Inhale through the nose. And exhale all the way out. Fantastic job. Like I said, if you want to continue to breathe in that spot, please do so. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next workout.